Dude, him versus Ciryl Gane, that's very interesting.
For sure. And I know the power is going to translate over to heavyweight. That's not going anywhere. He'll be able to flatline heavyweights.
100%, especially with zero weight cut.
Yeah. He's probably 230, 240 walking around. 230 something maybe.
He's 240.
Yeah, dude, come on.
He's 240 walking around.
That's a legit heavyweight. He's
a
big,
legit
tall,
heavyweight.
long.
Fucking guy fought at 85.
But so is Ciryl, man.
Cyryl's good.
An athlete heavyweight, not just a big guy fighting at heavyweight. He's a legit heavyweight.
To be fair, that's all Alex Pereira's done, right? He had a quick rise through the middleweight division for Alex Pereira, and since then, it was Pereira time. Anytime he fought, he was the main event on the pay-per-view. The whole world went into a frenzy. Channels all over the place, knockouts galore, and a schedule that was insane, right? So he deserves all the accolades. And I know in the past, I might have bet against him because the first time Magomed Ankalaev beat him, I thought the possible anxiety from fighting Pereira and the power, that's gone. He's going to be more aggressive this time and better with the wrestling. But he got smoked. He got smoked in 69 seconds or something like that. So that's why I picked against him. I'm not hating on the guy. What he's done is phenomenal. If he beats or loses to Ciryl Gane, who does he fight next? Well, he still thinks he's got a good chance of facing Jon Jones because Jon Jones, Dana talked about it recently. He said he's done. He's got arthritis and all this, and Jon Jones came out and had a bit of a tweet and delete storm on Twitter, right? You never know. Jon Jones might come back because, as Pereira said, he's under contract. They're not going to release him from contract. And if Jon Jones gets that itch and gets that scratch, listen, I'd still love to see it. And Pereira still wants to fight Jon Jones. And that would be something unbelievable. And if Pereira goes off and becomes a 3-weight division champion, right? Jon Jones might want to come back, and Dana and the UFC and Hunter and everyone might go, you know what, he can be a liability, but dude, we got...
Yeah, this got to be Cyryl's last crack at a title, right? Like, this will be his 5th chance at an interim or undisputed. He won the interim one against Derek Lewis, but the rest is being, no contests or losses. I know the division is thin, and I know it's rough, but, like, I can't imagine a world where he gets a 6th chance if he loses this.
Yeah, and that too, we just spoke about it with the first fight. Again, when the division is rough, it just makes it look like, the title fights aren't as exciting because the rest of the division is rough. So it almost looks like, well, who else is there to fight for this except for these two guys? So there is a little bit of that involved in this fight. But again, I don't want to take anything away from the fight because, like I said, Alex is probably going to go down as the greatest fighter we've ever seen if he can pull this off. Ciryl Gane is an absolute stud, and he's capable of being great. He hasn't really done that and showed us that yet in the big moments. So because he hasn't showed us in the big moments, that's why I'm not putting this higher. He hasn't done that, but he has the potential to do that now. That they fought, like, who has Alex fought that moves like Ciryl Gane? Like, we don't even know how. I mean, maybe we can go back to his kickboxing days and see something, but we haven't seen it in MMA. And then for Ciryl Gane, like, we haven't seen him face a guy quite like this, right? And the only thing that we've seen him face that was similar to this, it's not in style, but it's in aura, Jon Jones, and he completely folded. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on fight, and this is in the White House too, man. So so that's another factor for Ciryl Gane that I'm a little concerned with, because if he can't deal with, like, being at the White House and fighting a big fight like this, then man.
In a timeline few could have ever predicted, the combat sports world braces for a collision of titanic proportions. Nobody saw this coming, yet here we are, witnessing an era where Alex Pereira is slated to go toe-to-toe with Ciryl Gane. Adding to the sheer surrealism of this high-stakes battle is the unprecedented stage, the White House. It is a backdrop that elevates the magnitude of the event from a mere championship bout to a historic cultural spectacle. Pereira's meteoric rise through the UFC has been nothing short of cinematic. For the past 2 years, he has essentially carried the promotion on his back, leaving a trail of shattered contenders in his wake. Now, devoid of the draining weight cuts that defined his middleweight run, a 240-pound Alex Pereira steps into the realm of the natural heavyweights. But standing across the octagon is not just another bulky brawler, it is Ciryl Gane, an elite athlete who moves with the grace of a lightweight, presenting a stylistic enigma that Pereira has never encountered in mixed martial arts.
Question outside your own fight, you've always been very, very staunchly in the belief that interim champion is a champion.
Facts.
So does that mean guaranteed Alex Pereira goes up to heavyweight?
He's a champion.
He's
a champion.
3-weight head champion.
The fuck interim. Like, you can't tell me a guy gets a belt. Like, interim, look up the word interim, what it means. In the meantime, in the interim, he is the champion. So, as well, like, my belts have how many rubies on them. People try and like discredit it and be like, oh, well, one of them was interim. I'm like, well, come take it away. Come take it away from me. But yeah, he's gonna be the champion, and then he's gonna have a super fight with Jon Jones, and that'll be a big ass fight too. But that's still the White House.
You should be negotiating for Jon Jones then, because it doesn't sound like they're getting to the right money there.
Really, they'll find a way. The UFC and the brass over there, they always, and the fighters as well, they butt heads with their managers. But we always get there in the end.
When analyzing the tactical architecture of this fight, the expert community is fiercely divided, yet unanimously captivated. On one side, analysts point to Pereira's world-renowned devastating power, a primal force of nature that many believe will easily translate to the heavyweight limit. Observers like MMA Guru highlight Pereira's relentless forward pressure and his punishing low kicks as the ultimate equalizers capable of dismantling the Frenchman's foundation. But on the other side, Gane's lightning-fast mobility and highly technical striking present a puzzle that is notoriously difficult to solve. Michael Bisping views this matchup as a masterpiece of matchmaking, noting that unlike many heavyweight marquee fights that devolve into exhausting grappling exchanges, this bout promises a pure, unadulterated striking war from the opening bell. It is a clash of raw, alpha power against evasive precision, where a single micro-miscalculation under the blinding lights will dictate the survival of either man.
The storylines going into this, I mean, Ciryl Gane, I have a real concern for Tom right now. And I am on Tom's side. I want to make sure my words are clear. But I have a real concern because he is scratching the surface of a road that so many guys go down and they never come back. 1 year ago today, Tom wants to compete and he doesn't understand it. Jon wants a bunch of money. He's looking at the UFC going, you got a contract with the guy, get him in the ring. And that mindset appears to be gone. All of a sudden, it's not about competition. Now it's about money. And now all of a sudden, it's not about, hey guys, thanks for everything you've done for me. It's, hey guys, I'm being told by other people, you haven't done enough for me. When you go down that road, there's no coming back. And I only share that with you. It's very relevant. As we go into Pereira versus Gane, the story of the White House is that we could have our first ever champ, but people are saying no. They're saying the interim belt doesn't count, and that's not a fight that I want to have.
Beneath the surface of this stylistic masterpiece, a dark cloud of political tension looms over the heavyweight division. The landscape of the sport is fundamentally shifting, and not necessarily for the better. Charles Oliveira has voiced genuine concern over this transformation, warning that the pure primordial desire to compete against the best is slowly being corrupted by outside influences and financial standoffs. This reality is perfectly encapsulated by the complex web involving Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. Din Thomas eloquently captures the lingering unease surrounding the matchup, noting that the ghost of Tom Aspinall, waiting patiently on the sidelines for his rightful, undisputed throne, casts a heavy shadow over Pereira and Gane. It raises uncomfortable questions about what this fight truly represents. Is it a battle for divisional supremacy, or is it a symptom of a sport where championship competition is taking a backseat to boardroom negotiations? The debate over the true value of the interim championship adds another thick layer of tension to the narrative. If Pereira conquers Gane, does he truly become the first three-division champion in UFC history? Israel Adesanya leaves zero room for ambiguity, vehemently defending the legitimacy of the interim belt. He asserts that securing the interim title absolutely cements Pereira's status as a three-division king, completely dismissing any attempts to place an asterisk next to the achievement. Chael Sonnen echoes this sentiment by looking through the lens of history, warning fans who dismiss the interim tag that combat sports history frequently repeats itself. Titles that begin as interim are routinely elevated to undisputed status due to injuries, contract disputes, or retirements. The result of this White House showdown possesses the genuine power to completely reshape the trajectory of the heavyweight class, turning a supposedly temporary belt into the absolute pinnacle of the sport.
Put my sword down. Apparently, I'm the only one that care. I don't care what comes in front of world champion. If it ends in world champion, I believe it counts. But if our community doesn't, fine. I'm just here to tell you, history is a way to repeat itself. And when people like to say that Tom is the undisputed champion, they have very short-term memories. Because if I was to say, did he win that? I go, are you sure? I say, did he defend that? Are you sure? Like, people would have to kind of remember and go, well, no, I guess he was an interim and I guess he was elevated. Right thing to do. But if history does repeat itself and Tom does go down this road, if Tom doesn't come back, the significance of Ciryl versus Pereira is going to be huge. The significance of that fight, if one ends up elevated to undisputed champion, which is what just happened to us 5 months ago in the very division. There is so much on this card, but sometimes it comes out.
While Pereira marches toward immortal legacy, Ciryl Gane finds himself backed against a terrifyingly final wall. This fight is dripping with desperation for the French heavyweight. Michael Bisping outlines the brutal reality of Gane's career trajectory. After multiple failed attempts at undisputed gold and faltering in the biggest moments of his career, it is nearly impossible to envision a universe where Gane receives a sixth chance if he fails here. Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman are quick to praise Gane's incredible durability and tricky movement, acknowledging that putting him away is one of the hardest tasks in the sport. Yet, the underlying question remains about Gane's mental fortitude. Analysts look back at his tactical blunders against Francis Ngannou and his rapid submission loss to Jon Jones Mountain.
Fight deal. Of course, the first fight on that deal will be against Ciryl Gane for the heavyweight title, the interim heavyweight title. Now, the old cliche in combat sports is I don't want to look past my opponent because, you know, I'm focused on Ciryl Gane, and he should be, because that's a tough fight. But it's a very winnable fight. It's a very compelling, fun matchup. A lot of people came out talking shit to me because I said it might be a better matchup than Jon Jones. The reason I said that, and it's pretty goddamn obvious, is because it will be a striking affair, right? People didn't love the BMF because Charles Oliveira dominated the fight on the ground. And more than likely, I'm not being disrespectful to Pereira, you got to think that's what Jon Jones would do. He would take him down. And if Pereira could defend the submissions, it'll look like the BMF, right? And everyone booed. Everyone talked shit. Even Dana White didn't.
As the fight world looks on, Alex Pereira's transition into the heavyweight fold marks a definitive evolution of Apes. Pereira is no longer just a striker. He has become a psychological phenomenon. While critics often point to him, nullifies many of the physical disadvantages he faced in lower divisions. By stripping away the brutal weight cuts that once drained his chin and stamina to trade leather, the presence of Jon Jones looms over the octagon like a predatory specter. The narrative tension is fueled by the ultimate prize, a potential super fight with the man widely considered the greatest of all time. Experts suggest that for Pereira, Gane is merely the final gatekeeper to a legacy-defining showdown with bones. Israel Adesanya and Michael Bisping have both theorized that if Pereira secures this interim title, the pressure on Jon Jones to defend his throne against a three-division champion will become insurmountable for the UFC brass. This bout at the White House is more than a title fight. It is a high-stakes audition for the biggest payday and the most significant legacy match in the history of mixed martial arts.
So based upon that knowledge, this makes for a better fan-pleasing matchup. But yeah, I'm a dickhead if I say that, right? Jesus Christ, you just can't win. So anyway, Ciryl Gane, who knows, right? Who knows if he wins that fight? We don't know. But he's still convinced that he's gonna fight Jon Jones one day, because regardless of whether or not he beats Ciryl Gane, which is a tough fight, and if he does beat him, he becomes a three-weight division champion. Does that automatically make him the most successful UFC fighter of all time? Because on paper it does. But when you look at the matchups, does it make him the best? Does that make his career more impressive than Jon Jones, than George St. Pierre, than Anderson Silva, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson? I don't know, but it's certainly a topic of conversation. Let me know your thoughts on that. But if he beats him, and even if he doesn't beat him, right, who is he gonna fight? Because that kind of paycheck, he's gonna be involved in nothing but blockbuster fights.
The psychological contrast between these two combatants is perhaps more compelling than the physical one. On one side of the canvas stands Pereira, a man whose stoicism and alpha personality have become the stuff of legend. On the other side is Ciryl Gane, a technical genius whose only historical failings have been mental lapses during the highest pressure moments. Din Thomas highlights that Gane has historically laid an egg when the lights were brightest, most notably against Jon Jones. But there are signs of a maturing contender. The question for this breakdown is whether Gane has finally fortified his mental fortress, or if the crushing weight of the White House stage and Pereira's terrifying aura will cause him to fold once again. It is a battle of internal grit against external skill. The setting of this fight represents a fundamental shift in how the UFC positions its marquee events. Moving a championship bout to a location as prestigious as the White House signals that the era of just another fight night is over. As Charles Oliveira pointed out, the sport is navigating a delicate balance between pure competition and massive commercial influence. This event is the embodiment of that shift, a spectacle designed to capture the attention of the global elite. For Pereira and Gane, they are no longer just athletes, they are the lead actors in a geopolitical and sporting drama. The outcome will not only decide a champion, but will set a new standard for how the world views the legitimacy and the blockbuster nature of modern MMA.
How can you not love watching Alex fight? Like, he's carried the UFC on his back for almost 2 years. And he's done such great things, and the fact that he's moving up is incredibly noble. And he's taken on Ciryl Gane, who is a legit heavyweight that I think stylistically presents problems to him. And I think it's a great fight, but it's just something had to be at number 4. And there's something about it that and it might just be, again, maybe that lingering Tom Aspinall effect over the whole thing, like Tom watching from the sidelines, watching two guys fight for his position. I don't want to say his belt, but his position. And I think something about that might kind of weigh it down a little bit from rising up a little.
To understand how this fight will be won, one must look at the specific technical tools each man brings to the cage. Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman emphasize that Gane's legit heavyweight size and movement present a puzzle Pereira has never had to solve. Unlike the stationary targets Pereira found at 185 and 205 pounds, Gane uses lateral movement and feints to keep his opponents guessing. However, Pereira's ability to flatline opponents with minimal exertion remains the ultimate wild card. The tactical blueprint here is a chess match played at 100 miles per hour. Gane must fight a clean and perfect fight for 25 minutes, while Pereira only needs to be perfect for a single second. It is a razor-thin margin for error that defines the terrifying reality of heavyweight striking.
Pereira going up to heavyweight is something that's been long discussed, and I guess the big thing is, like, is he going for history? Is he not? It's the interim belt. Like, if he wins this fight, are you going to consider him the first 3-division UFC champion, or does he have to get executed?
I would.
Yeah?
I would. Like, yeah, I absolutely would.
Even though it's interim.
Even though it's interim. I mean, like, interim, like, yes, like, the difference is just putting a word in front of it. But it's like Ciryl Gane is still champion. Well, and that's another thing too, right? What we have to find out is Ciryl Gane championship level material. Like, skill wise, I do believe he is, but mentally and, just emotionally and with his entire being, is he championship level material? And that's what we want to find out, because we've seen him lose against Francis, where he went in the fight, but just made the silly mistake at the end. And then we saw him completely lay an egg against Jon Jones. And that's not championship level material, but he's seemed to have matured into it. Now, when he was fighting Tom Aspinall, he showed championship level material fighting, even though it was a little dirty. And that's another thing. Can he fight cleanly with championship level material?
Beyond the immediate glory of the interim belt, the victory for either man will send shockwaves through the heavyweight rankings that could be felt for years. If Pereira triumphs, he effectively leapfrogs the traditional hierarchy, creating a logjam for contenders like Tom Aspinall. If Gane wins, he re-establishes himself as the premier heavyweight talent, finally shaking off the perennial bridesmaid label that has dogged his career after multiple title shot failures. Chael Sonnen warns that the significance of this result is huge, because history has a way of repeating itself. The man who walks out with the belt, interim or not, will likely be the face of the division's future. We are watching a defining moment that will reshape the heavyweight trajectory, deciding who will lead the new guard in the post-Jones era.